My name is Hodari Davis. I live in Oakland, California in the United States, and I'm an educator and an artist. I'm here in Iran at the New Horizons Conference with a number of delegates from the United States and several countries overseas. And the focus of our conversation has been about police brutality in the United States. African Americans in the United States have had a long history of struggle, have been working hard for many years to establish human rights and to get the United States to value our lives in ways that systematically and institutionally our lives haven't been valued. It plays out in a number of institutions in society, from education to incarceration. A lot of our people, at least in the 21st century, are being funneled into prison, and it has a very detrimental effect on our communities and on our children. And if there's not some type of change soon, we're going to be in even graver danger. So the challenge, I think, for us is to raise our awareness, make more connections around the world so that we understand our position globally and not just locally, and find ways to counter some of the institutional and systematic ways that our lives are being undermined and undervalued. I think there's a lot of false media in the United States, and it influences the way people think about people inside of the country and people outside of the country. And unfortunately, the powers that control that media have an interest in dividing people internally and externally. And so dividing the people of the United States from Iran, dividing African Americans in the United States from European Americans or Latino Americans or Asian Americans. And that focus on division and competition makes it difficult to find solidarity. And without solidarity, it's hard to make lasting change. I think it's important for us to build solidarity outside of the United States. African American people are a very small segment of the African diaspora around the world. And because we don't have a very strong media among our own people, it's hard for us to get our story out. I don't know if Iran would know what was happening to African American people if CNN and Fox hadn't actually put it in the world. And I don't think it was their intention to inform the people of Iran of our struggle. I think that's an after that. I think if they could take it back, they would never even tell the story. But we've been dealing with this for 400 plus years. And so for us, it's nothing new. Police brutality is not a new thing. It's been happening for a very long time. There have been riots in the United States ever since I've been alive, and I'm alive for 4 decades now. So there's a lot of things that are new to people outside of the United States that are just part of what it means to be a part of the United States culture. We're used to police lights in our window. We're used to being pulled over. We're used to having to go through checkpoints as if we were Palestinians in Israel. Like, we're used to that. What's changed is that the police have become much more militarized. They have weapons that were used in Afghanistan. They have weapons that were used in Iraq. They have former soldiers from those wars who come home and see our people in our own communities as enemy combatants, and they fire on us. And so that's kind of new. It used to be that we would get beaten and arrested more. Now we get shot and killed more. So the stakes are a lot higher. There's a lot to be done. The founding fathers of the United States of America is who I would blame. When the United States Constitution was written, African American people were written in it as 3/5 of a human being. And though the Constitution said all human beings are created equal, our people were not considered to be human, and neither were the native and indigenous peoples of America. And it made it, by not being considered human, it made it possible for Native American people to be subject to extermination and genocide. It made it possible for our people to be subject to hundreds of years of enslavement. And everything that's happening now is a result of that. There is no part of our history, our current history, that is not impacted by that experience and that decision that was made hundreds of years ago, before any of us were alive. Those decisions that were made impact the relationship that the United States has with Iran. I think sometimes when the media tells a story, they paint it as if everything is all the same. So Iran is a city in the United States media. Iran is not a country. It's also important to recognize that CNN and Fox tell about the same amount of lies about African American people that they tell about Iran. So when you recognize that the media is lying about you on a regular basis, and you can see and read between their lies, then when they tell you about Iran or China or any other place in the world, you assume that they're not telling the truth, or that they have some sort of capitalist, profit-driven motive to keep us away from Iran, keep us away from the Iranian people. The Iranian people would be number 2 behind African American people. So there's solidarity between us when we know that the same people are lying to us, and we wonder what is the motive, or what is the motive for the lies that they tell. And part of it is to keep us divided and keep us from having these conversations, to keep African Americans from traveling the world, to keep us from seeing that when we get to other places, we are not considered their enemy. We are all equally in danger. The caretakers of the earth are being exterminated, tribe by tribe, community by community. There are African people in Iran. There are African people in Iraq. There are African people in Spain. There are indigenous peoples all throughout Asia, all throughout the Americas. Where are they? Where's their story? And how do we build solidarity with them so that we can care for the only place that we all call home? Because we only have one earth. So we have to find a way to make it work. Thank you so much.